What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Jon Gruden, the Saints hosted Jon Gruden essentially on a visit to help with Derek Carr. And this makes a lot of sense from a couple of angles in that Derek Carr was, when he was at his most successful, it was under Jon Gruden. And never forget, boys, we now know that Jon Gruden committed to Derek Carr over Tom Brady. And if you look at the world, in case you missed that story, right? Remember that, when did that come out? About 6 months ago, something like that? We learned that basically, and now Brady, of course, an owner in the Las Vegas Aces, getting an ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders as well. Well, there was a plan that was in motion before he went to Tampa to send him to the Raiders, where I believe he would have been executive as well. But Gruden at the last minute got cold feet, backed out, said he wanted to stick with Derek Carr. And in the world of professional football, I cannot imagine a bigger expression of support or love than supporting a quarterback over Tom Brady. So obviously, I say all of this just to establish that Brady and Carr have a very good relationship. It is also kind of funny now because now it's yet another former Raider in the mix for the New Orleans Saints. It feels like this year's Saints team is a grand experiment in okay, we think we had a good department in this business, right? But it had bad management, bad environment, everything, bad business culture. What if we could just take that department and move it under a new umbrella, right? In New Orleans, different city, different management, different culture. Can they be good? We will see. But look, the Gruden thing seems to make sense to me on the surface. Here's what Jake Haener had to say. He said, quote, "They obviously wanted to bring him in to see what Derek does well and what he thought Derek did well, just to help them get a better feel for him as a player. Because obviously he's a new person in the building. They want to do what Derek does well. I think that was the biggest thing, just getting a different perspective and a different mind. Obviously, it's very interesting to hear from a guy that's successful and has been successful. I definitely got something out of it. He liked whether threw the ball, blah, blah, whatever. The point of all of that is that, yeah, they said, look, man, he had so much success with Derek Carr. What does Carr do well? How can we put him in positions to succeed? Which that is all very sound, logical coaching theory. And so when viewed through that lens, I think it's smart. I think it will pay dividends. That may not be dividends that we'll be able to recognize because it'll be impossible to discern what little nuggets were learned about Derek Carr and how they're going to look to use them and implement them into this offense. But I guess the other side of this is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Because this is kind of the soft relaunch of Jon Gruden here, right? Like, this is the first time that we've seen him back in the news since the emails came out and he was removed as head coach of the Vegas Raiders. I feel like this is the first time that he's kind of been publicly welcomed back into the NFL sphere. And you know how I feel about these things. When people complain about cancel culture, right? I just don't have any time for it because generally they're complaining through the lens of I need, this is wrong. Like, this guy had these parameters applied to him and this guy had these parameters applied to him. They are not equal. And it's always from some sense of injustice, right? But here's the truth about something like cancel culture. It's just a social democracy. Okay. There are no hard and fast rules. It's just people are either so upset that you get fired or they don't care enough to have you fired. And that's just it at the end of the day, right? So ultimately, it's like when people complain about corporations either doing something, a publicly traded corporate doing something that is viewed as politically left or viewed as politically right. Well, here's the dirty truth, guys. They don't actually care about what they are doing. They are just doing what it takes, what they think will make money. Now, sometimes you screw up, right? Obviously, it looks like Bud Light had one of those here recently, right? But Bud Light, like, none of these companies are doing Pride or anything because they actually like gay people. They're publicly traded corporations that do this because they want to make more money. So getting mad about it is absurd. In the same way, getting mad about cancel culture is absurd because there are no sets of rules. All it is a social democracy in which, the internet and just kind of the general temperature will decide whether or not somebody is allowed to exist once again. And I guess my question to y'all is, and again, I don't think that I'm probably the person to be the arbiter on this, given that the people that Gruden was talking badly about were minorities, women, gay people, of which I check none of those boxes. But what do y'all think, man? And y'all, I mean, in my opinion, I think that the democracy probably lets him back in, but again, I don't know if I feel comfortable like being the arbiter on this. What do y'all think? Is it bad to have Jon Gruden sniffing around Saints camp?
I don't think so. I'm with you. Like, if you feel some type of way about what you said and you are in that group from a different perspective, I'm not going to tell you how to feel. But that happened almost 2 seasons ago. It's not like the Saints are hiring him full-time onto their staff. He's helping them with the player that he's familiar with. I think that can really benefit the Saints. So I am okay with it, but I won't tell you how to feel if you feel some type of way about it.
I think you nailed it, Mario. I think that's probably exactly where I'm at as well. I'm not telling anybody else how to feel about it. When I saw it, though, I was not particular. I was just like, okay.
Yep.
And I'm interested to hear what Ross Jackson had to say, because I was listening to Locked On Saints, which, of course, Ross hosted, and he brought out some good points maybe on the opposite side of that docket. I mean, Taylor, what about you? I'll let you speak on this as well. Does it do anything when you hear the Jon Gruden back in the fold a little bit?
I think Jon Gruden's a good football coach, and I think that if you have a chance to bring in a good football coach, if you don't do it, I mean, are you doing a disservice to your team, especially with a guy like Derek Carr? He's familiar with him. We've seen he's had the most success with Derek Carr. The Saints want to be the Raiders. I mean, they might as well sell the team to Mark Davis. But no, I mean, I think Gruden's a good coach. And, I mean, if you told somebody, hey, you could have Jon Gruden on your support staff, you throw everything else out the window, you're probably going to do it. So, I mean, I think it's good for the Saints because I think he's a good coach.
Yeah, and all that, because I agree from a pure football perspective, like, of course, this is very sound and very, very logical that you would bring this guy in that believed in this quarterback so much that he chose him over Tom Brady. Again, it's just whether or not you think there'll be blowback, and it looks like they kind of viewed the room, took the temperature, pulled it, and said, no, you know what, I think this will be fine. And I think they're probably right in that regard. Now, you did mention analysts, basically, right? And what's interesting about that is, again, I don't know, maybe this does feel like potentially this is kind of the beginning of some sort of process like that. But like NFL doesn't tend to have in fact, I don't think they're allowed to by rule to have the giant shadow staffs that colleges can have, right? Meaning if you really want to soft relaunch Gruden, maybe a college analyst position would be just that needed. Boys, you see where I'm going here? I don't know. Are y'all old enough to remember the Jon Gruden to LSU rumors?
Yes. Oh, it was
every year, boys. And look, the prophecy is finally about to be fulfilled. In order to relaunch his football career, the beta test, Jon Gruden, offensive analyst under Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers. Book it, boys. Are you ready? I mean, I've seen it all, Mario. My third eye is fully open. I've connected the dots. Just wait. It's coming. But look, it's a weird thing because I don't think that we'll ever see these dividends being paid, but it makes all the sense in the world for Pete Carmichael and company to get in with Gruden and, him and Carr, who have spent years together to try to see, okay, how can we best position Carr for success? Because like we said yesterday in the DeAndre Hopkins conversation, you're all in on Derek Carr. That is your number one investment to trying to be good, okay? And if you want to get return on your investment, you apply resources to doing just that. And that's what the Gruden visit was. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.